Also, by literal definition, someone who is just a femboy or masculine woman would technically be transgender. Yet this title label does not seem to work. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about. Femboys, tomboys are non-conforming people. They're basically breaking gender stereotypes, you know, when it comes to clothing. But like, being a femboy, being a tomboy is more like how you express your gender identity. Like, there are a lot of femboys who are trans. You know, trans men are femboys. A lot of gender fluid people like the term femboy. And the thing is just that it's just kind of complicated. Cis is like on the same side as. Like, your gender identity aligns with your assigned gender at birth. Being trans is like your gender identity doesn't align with your gender at birth. And it creates a lot of confusion, which is something that I talked about. It's like if you have like this umbrella term and you basically shove everything into like the trans umbrella, you get a lot of like confusing things. Because if you separate sex and gender and like your gender identity aligns with your biological sex or whatnot, but you express yourself differently, would that make you trans? Or would that make you cis? It's kind of complicated because like if you have someone who is non-binary, who is like gender fluid, it's like, are you trans half of the time? And is it dependent on like how you express yourself? A previous video, cross-dressing does not technically exist. Yeah, exactly, because clothes don't have gender. That's also like some patriarchal nonsense and, you know, corporations wanting to make money and stuff like that. Beauty norms, gender expectations and whatnot. Is it just a bunch of circumstances and semantics? Yeah, I think like if you're a femboy, if you're masculine, if you're a tomboy, that doesn't say that you're trans. But there are a lot of trans people who identify with the label femboy. There are a lot of trans women who identify with the label tomboy, you know? Like, I like to be a, you know, a masculine woman. I like to be a feminine woman too. But that's just like how I express myself. How I express myself as a woman. I think that is what like creates a lot of confusion, because there are also like a lot of trans women who identify with the label femboy, and it's like, isn't a femboy like, you know, someone who identifies as a man, as a boy, someone who like identifies with the label typically associated with males? Why is a trans woman calling themselves a femboy? And in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to creators, it's, you know, a lot of people make more money if they call themselves femboys. A lot of trans creators out there using the femboy hashtag in order to get more views. Like, that's just the thing. I'm not saying that all the trans women do it just for the money and they don't actually like identify with it. But that is like just like something that can occur. Like something that I've noticed. For me personally, it always felt kind of invalidating being called like a feminine man, a femboy or whatnot. It's just invalidating my gender identity, because like I'm not even like expressing myself, you know, as like you imagine a stereotypical femboy like expresses themselves. I don't identify with the label boy. Men can be feminine if they want. Yeah, exactly. Song reminds me of that lovely drag queen Gottmik. He's a trans man, but he's a drag queen. That's so based. Wasn't it like in Drag Race where there was like a trans woman who got kicked out because she's a trans woman, so she shouldn't be like a drag queen? And it's just like, I don't know, being a drag queen, a drag king or something, it's just like how you express your gender identity. It's basically like if I would call myself like, I don't know, I'm goth, you know, it's just like a clothing style, how I like express myself. People wouldn't come around and be like, oh, you're, I don't know, you're a goth boy, in order to like invalidate my gender identity. It would just be like, oh, that is like how you dress. And I think that is more appropriate for the term femboy, tomboy as well. Like, it's about dressing up and doing character stuff, not about your actual gender. Exactly. Drag is an art form. Funny because they had Peppermint as a runner up in another season and she's a trans woman. But because she hadn't undergone any surgery, really, they let her in. Like, oh, yeah. I also heard there are a lot of, like, drag queens, despite being men, who had, like, breast augmentation surgeries. They wouldn't allow the trans woman to have that, because then they're just a woman. So it's unfair. I don't know. It's weird. Then there are also how many people will overlap a sort of Venn diagram, sex and gender, even though they're separate. If or since gender is just a societal construct, then is it best to move past it? We will probably never move past it. But gender is always evolving. If you go to a different culture, you will see that their idea of like gender roles, gender expectations and whatnot is different from your culture. You know, if you get a time machine and you travel back, you're going to see that people's idea of like gender expectations and whatnot is different. You know, if you go back a couple of decades, you're going to realize that, I don't know, women wearing pants was considered cross-dressing. Men wearing tights was normal. Pink was a boy's color. We will never escape it. It's always going to evolve. And right now we're in like a progressive time where either we're going to go back to the 1930s and whatnot, and we're going to lose every progress that we made in the couple, like, last 100 years, or we are just going to push through this and break gender norms and create a world where people can freely express themselves without having to worry about what box they fit in. If I talk in Valorant and people are like, oh, you're gay, that's just like, oh, like, I hear a voice that is feminine, women aren't real, so that must be a gay man. But like, why does it even matter? Like, literally, it's just a video game. Why does it even matter what I sound like? I'm not insulting people. I'm giving them like call outs or whatnot. That is what should matter in a video game, in a competitive video game. But apparently it matters more to be a dick to like someone who is trans or like, you know, not a straight dude. But I also feel maybe relevant. Why do people categorize the existence of an object or scent with a sex and a gender? Marketing. Why are dolls for boys marketed as action figures? Why are girls not allowed to play with action figures and instead should get dolls? Because the typical family, you know, a mom and dad with 2 children, a boy and a girl. And if there's overlap, if the action figures actually appeal to girls as well, then they don't have to buy twice as many toys. That is literally it. Shampoo and clothing are inanimate objects as well as non-biological. Same goes for a variety of other things. I do not understand how is vanilla equals woman. A lot of times when it comes to smells, like something fruity, you know, flowery and whatnot is considered feminine. And femininity is considered just for women. If you're a man and you don't take the shampoo bottle that smells like, I don't know, monster trucks, then you're not a real man. You walk into a room and you smell like, I don't know, you smell like mango or like lemongrass and whatnot. And other men smell that on you and they think that you're like lesser because you smell like a woman or something. If you don't smell like asphalt and dirt, you're not a real man. Exactly. With clothing, it's like high heels used to be for men, you know, and now it was like, oh, you know, only women are supposed to wear it and stuff like that. When you get like unisex shoes, it's always like such a struggle because like at a certain point, if your feet are bigger than like, I don't know, EU 42, then you no longer get like the cute colors. You no longer get like white and gold, the pink and like the colors and whatnot. You only get like black or white because men aren't supposed to have anything nice or whatnot. That's also like a huge issue. Scent thing annoys me. Like I want to smell nice, not like tar and leather or whatever the masculine smell is. Yeah, like if you have something that smells nice, you should take it. Like, it shouldn't matter in which, like, section it is in. The same with, like, leather jackets, you know? Women's leather jackets have, like, a proper fit. They accentuate your body better. And if you wear, like, a leather jacket and it, like, fits you nicely and you like how it looks, just because it was in the women's section doesn't make you, I don't know, lesser of a man or it doesn't make you a woman. It doesn't make you, like, feminine and whatnot. It's just, like, it's literally just like clothing and there's like a label put on it by some random dude who is just like, oh, that is what men are supposed to wear. This is what women are supposed to wear. And like, you shouldn't let these people define what you like. People need to break away from these like arbitrarily like created boxes. First time catching a stream. Welcome. We got merch. Because Bright never stops. Exclamation mark merch. We got a cool mouse pad, and you can even get it with RGB. And these shirts and whatnot are designed by yours truly. This is the front, by the way. It's my signature. And we got amazing artists to do like stickers and keychains. Like it says, for the pursuit of truth. You're welcome. I appreciate comments that like get me to talk about things because I always feel that like I might be repeating myself sometimes. And I think that like that's not necessarily like a bad thing, but I also want to have like a different angle in order to talk about the same things, you know? I want the keychain. You can claim a free keychain on Uber Market. Input on what you said earlier about clothes and for what gender they are labeled. The killed. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, you know, your gender and whatnot, your concept of gender is like shaped by the environment that you grew up in the culture that you grew up in. Like a lot of like African like cultures, the men just wear like dresses. If you go into Vatican City, the men just wear dresses. And then they are being homophobic. And it's like, you can't be a drag queen and like homophobic. Like pick a struggle. But yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about. And we should do a little bit more gaming. I like having these conversations, you know, like it feels nice to like talk about these things on like stream and whatnot. And sometimes I really struggle with like things to talk about. Me with RuPaul, like how is he transphobic but gay? Yeah. But yeah, things are, you know, a struggle. If you let the wrong crowd define who you are, if you let people define what you should like based on your phenotypical sex characteristics,
It was good.
I feel like you're missing out on life. You're not able to explore yourself. And I think like a lot of parents like don't let their kids actually like experiment and like figure out what they actually like. Because I don't know, you're a boy, so we only go into the boys section. If you don't even dare to look at the girls section, you're not going to get a Barbie dream house because I don't know, it's in pink and it's in the girls section. So you're not allowed to have that. You're not allowed to wear a dress and like, I don't know, hang out with the girls because you're a boy and you're supposed to do boy stuff. And then people are like, oh, but let kids be kids. You know, anytime a parent is like letting a child like experiment with their gender or like just like freely dress up, wear like a Disney princess outfit for Halloween and whatnot, people are like, oh, you're forcing this upon them. It's like, no, literally, that's just what they like. Kids, they don't have like a concept of all these like gender roles and gender norms and whatnot to that degree. They're just like, they see something they like, put it on, they have fun with like toys and whatnot, and you know, just because it's pink doesn't mean that they shouldn't be allowed to play with it. Children don't have the labels, they just have themselves. Exactly. And like early on, like you're trying to discover who you are.